Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted, as always, to be joined by Ra Hokum, our special guest today. And Ra, we're just reacting to the news that's been circulating on social media and online, and has really seemed to gather momentum. No official announcement as of yet, but it looks like Derek Delboy Chisora will be back in action in early 2025, January. I'm seeing rumours for in Manchester against none other than Jarrell Big Baby Miller. Before we get into the video and just kind of discuss our thoughts on this fight, guys, if you're watching this, please do subscribe to the channel, like this video, drop us a comment and what your thoughts are. But yeah, as I said, Chisora Miller, January 2025. What is your immediate reaction to when you saw this online?
Surprised. Weren't really the fight that I thought would have been high up their list of preferred opponents. But thinking about it, it sort of makes sense. Um, yeah, Miller, he's a big personality, does a whole lot of talking, and he'll bring entertainment, for the build up, for the fight week, all of that. And I don't think he's not a bad opponent in the ring. We saw against Ruiz that he can put up a fight, and he gave Daniel Dubois a better fight than AJ did. So yeah, it's an interesting one from an entertainment point of view. Has zero real effect on the top sort of level of the heavyweight division, but neither of them are of that level anyway. So yeah, don't hate the fight, but surprised still, nevertheless.
Yeah, I think surprise is kind of how I felt first and foremost about it, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, it just seems that, I would be one of I've been very critical of Big Baby Miller in the past and other people who have been popped for steroids. Yes, I know it's in the past and everyone deserves a second chance and all of that, but he just seems to be getting given these big opportunities. With Dubois, obviously, then again after that with Andy Ruiz. And as you mentioned, like the Ruiz fight, he did put up a good fight. People had him winning it. Some people had him winning it. This fight, let's be honest, you're making him the favorite here. Against Chisora, probably. But I, in the sense of I get the entertainment point that you're making, Ryan, I do. I really, really do. And I think that pure entertainment, yeah, love the fight for entertainment wise, but do I sit and want to watch this? Not particularly. If I'm being 100% honest, in the sense that without sounding maybe being a bit too strong, but I'm sure some people will agree with me. Like I don't really want to see Derek Chisora in a boxing ring, to be honest.
Mhm.
Um, I think that his best days are definitely behind him. We know that. I know he wants to get to this 50 fights or whatever, and got another couple to get there, but I don't really want to see him in a boxing ring, and I don't think this is. If he wanted just to have another few fights and then sail off into the sunset, I wouldn't be wanting him to fight Jarrell Miller because, as you mentioned, Jarrell Miller's he's not a world level fighter. He's not elite. He's not one of the best, but he certainly at this stage has far more than Derek Chisora does. If I was Chisora, I would be wanting easier touches, so to speak, before I sail off. He's had his hard fights. He's done all, been there, done that. What's the need for taking a beating? I hope that doesn't happen. Um, but I fear that he could take a bit of a beating from Jarrell Miller here, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, I hope I'm wrong, as I said, but me personally don't really like the fight. My follow up question was going to be to you, that do you feel that this fight's bad for boxing? I know you've said there entertainment wise it's good, but do you think like this fight gets announced on social media, it's going to get hammered in the comments? Do you think for the sport as a whole and as an attractive proposition for the casual fan, do you think that it's bad for the sport?
Well, yeah, in purely sporting terms, yeah, it is for the reasons you mentioned. But then guys fighting on as they approach middle age is always bad for the sport. But as we know, this sport that we love is run more on business lines than purely sporting lines. So yeah, from a purely sporting point of view, as you said, if he does take a battering at age 40 against a former steroid user, that is bad for the sport. But it's going to attract casuals. It'll attract everyone who wants the the freak show element of it. And it'll bring more money into the coffers of the fighters and the promoters than, say, a serious fight would. So, yeah, it is bad for the sport, but good for business. And I'm sure the promoters and fighters will say, yeah, well, but business is what makes this sport go round. So it is what it is. I'm guessing they had to get someone like him to fill out a big arena, which is what um, I know. Is it Manchester that Chisora wanted to fight in? Yeah, they couldn't have given him a soft touch unless there was another fighter similarly aged, similarly washed up, of which there's a few who are still hanging around for paydays, but with the sort of name recognition. The only other guy I could have thought of that's appropriate is, say, someone like Dillian White, but we don't know what his situation is. I don't know. Could you have thought of a more appropriate level for him? Are there other fighters coming up to 40 who are also still big names? There probably are, but whether it's sell out that big arena, I think that with Miller, it's the ability to sell the
Yeah.
fight that he's bought in for.
Yeah, I can't really disagree with everything you've said there. I suppose it, unfortunately, sometimes, yeah, the business is obviously ahead of the actual sporting terms. But sometimes we love it, sometimes we hate it. But sure, well, as we always say, that's boxing. Just quickly before we round up, Ra, if you had to predict the outcome of this fight right here, right now, who wins and how? I have a feeling I know who you're going to pick, but yeah, give us your prediction for this fight initially.
Based on recent performances, you'd have to go with Jarrell Miller, possibly late stoppage. Um, I mean, I'm leaning more towards points. Um, yeah, because I don't think we've seen Miller show great finishing ability in his career past a
Yeah,
certain level. So I'm going for probably a Jarrell Miller points win, but it'll be another punishing night for Derek as he winds down his career, hopefully.
yeah. I can't disagree. I think unfortunately, I'm going with Big Baby as well. I'd say a lot of boxing fans will. You maybe don't think there'll be a whole lot of people backing Chisora here, to be honest with you. As much as I would love to see him do it, and I'm sure you would be the same. Like I'd love Derek to do it, but whether or not he does, I'm not so sure. I think, although, yeah, I completely concur with what you said about him finishing ability of Miller. I agree with you. I don't think he's the biggest puncher in the world for the size of him, but I think he'll stop Derek Chisora. Mid to late is where my head's at as well. I know he's a big lad and maybe doesn't have the best engine as he did when he was back on the PEDs, but Chisora's engine is, in boxing terms, he's an old man. So your engine's going to be nowhere near as good as someone who's what, early 30s, early mid 30s, whatever it is. So yeah,
Mhm.
I'm going Miller to stop Derek Chisora. But yeah, equally, it wouldn't surprise me if it did go the distance. And as you said, it was more of a punishing 10, 12 rounds for Derek Chisora. But unfortunately, hopefully he pulls it off, mate. Hopefully he pulls it off, but we shall see. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think on this fight. Do you think it's bad? Has a bad look for boxing? Are you excited for it? Do you actually think Chisora has a chance of winning? And as always, yeah, please do like the video, drop the channel, subscribe, and yeah, Ra, appreciate your time as always, mate. Thanks for jumping on, and I'll speak to you again soon.